What is going on? I'm Zedmont. We are here for a very special episode today. We are going to be giving away a prize box direct from Supercell. This is a Boom Beach themed prize box. It's amazing. It's got a plush critter involved. It's got a couple pairs of socks, some Boom Beach pins, plus that fancy Supercell box, which is pretty well designed, I gotta say. I recycled it, but nonetheless, I don't have one of those boxes. I've never gotten one of those boxes. I have some components of it. I love the Boom Beach socks. My kids try to steal mine, but staying on topic, we are doing a special thing in our task force group. By the way, check the description down below if you're looking for a task force. We did an internal task force versus task force. Oh my gosh, task force versus task force. Update 2 confirmed. I wish. Anyways, any of you who have ever done Task Force versus Task Force, anyone who has ever watched it, anyone who's ever talked about it, knows that Boom Beach is not set up for this. Everyone kind of shoehorns it in and does their own best interpretation, but let's be honest, Boom Beach doesn't do it well. We're doing it in a 5-member task force. One thing to note, if you can see, if you have eyes, you'll see that it says base 6. That means that it is impossible to do all 5 bases with a 5-member task force. That means you go from operations like this with 1,131 points, which, by the way, is an absolute perfect score. That is the absolute best score you can get, down to operations like this, where in your 298 point, you get Torrent. That roll just makes these kind of things not all about skill. It's also definitely 1000% got some luck involved. So I know people have their special trick they like to keep to themselves of how they roll operations, whether it's having your base clear or having yourself boosted or being the newest person in the task force. Let's be honest though, it just comes down to some luck. It is not your superstitious mumbo jumbo. Speaking of operation, now just to show you, you have to pick and choose. So if you lose that 298 base, suddenly you're down into the 900 point range, which is a dangerous spot to be in when you're going up against 3, 4, 5 other task forces that likely got a better roll. Let's show you a good roll here. You can see that their 298 point is Waterloo. So having to do Waterloo with no shield gens versus having to do Torrent. Anyways, the fact that I have to explain this just shows that Boom Beach is not set up for Task Force versus Task Force right now. I love it. I love the stress and the heart pumping, and it's just, we're trying to make this work. Anyways, preamble over. Let's get into some hits. I'm going to show you some hits, then I'm going to give away that box to one of the participants. Big shout out, by the way. As you can see, this task force is full of intel, and that is from a lot of people like Yalek and Callus and all the rest who've come in and dumped intel in these. So if you dumped intel, thank you so much. Gonna show you some hits. These are from across like 12 different task forces across 5 different days with in the neighborhood of 20 to 30 participants, I believe. So if you're not shown, that's my bad. I tried to jump into a couple of them. I wanted to show this open on Torrent. Now, they started out with a 298 Torrent, which means if you can get it down in 2, it's better than doing base 5 and base 6. So a little bit of strategy involved here. They went for the gusto, and anytime you see a team try to take out a 298 base that has shield gens, I love to see it. So I wanted to show the franchises open on this base. Now, we had a rule where you had to do dead end. On the final day, it got opened up so people could do massive attack, but realistically, in a 5-member task force, dead end is likely the best way to get force points. So they're for the franchise coming in here, and he's going to get the 2 shield gens right about here. Going to show this. Now, one quick note. If you ever see someone flare that front shield gen first, they're doing it wrong. Always go for the far shield gen first. If you disagree, I will fight you. Throw in some shocks over there for the Doom Cannon, clearing all sorts of stuff. Right-hand side shield gens are down. Then he drops some bombardiers in here for some necessary farming of gunboat energy. Well, having to watch the clock, by the way. So getting the right-hand side shield gens, then bringing the troops in with bullet for these left-hand side shield gens. You'll notice getting every little bit possible of gunboat energy. Absolutely required. Now, this right here, I love this. I've seen Mackett do this. I've seen a number of people do this. This is not an attack I have in my repertoire, but it is something that I want to get in because watch this. It is just so well done. Now, he is shocking everything with Bullet. He's getting the left-hand side. Has 3 of 4 shield gens now, and getting 4 of 4 shield gens just like that, setting his task force up for a Torrent in 2, which I gotta say was incredibly well done. So big shout out to Franchise. This hit was well done. They didn't manage to pull off the Torrent in 2, unfortunately, but I just wanted to showcase that because Torrent in 2 before Bullet got nerfed was super common. Now that Bullet has been nerfed and his taunt radius has gone down, it has become more of an art. So next up, we're going to show Kirk. Now, this is Kirk's first ever solo of Titan, is what I'm told. So this puts you out of your comfort zone. Most of us in the Triangle 9 group are in a 25-member task force, which means that you have a couple people that know each attack. So we've got 3 or 4 people who know Titan. The fact that Kirk is in a 5-member task force and you have to kind of balance to see who's good with which attacks and then come in and get it done. So the word on the street is this is Kirk's first ever Titan, and I gotta say, I love the fact that he's got some bombardiers up front. I way too often see people not farm gunboat energy using bombardiers or zookas. I love it when I see people doing all the things that I like to do. So farming gunboat energy just gives you more shocks at core. Yes, you're only going to have 7 boats of zookas, but we've got level 26 zookas or whatever we got with HQ 25. So all sorts of oomph there coming in. The only problem is I would love a slider for replays because right now, if I miss something, I have to go back through 3.5 minutes of bombardiers just kind of hanging out. Then he murders his bombardiers in cold blood. Nice smokes right there. This path, by the way, is incredibly well known. And I know a lot of you out there are rolling your eyes saying, this is Titan, blah, blah, blah. Yes, please use the flare points. The fact that Kirk does this absolutely perfectly here is what I like to see. Now he's going to flare that back machine gun right about now, throwing 1 smoke in the absolute perfect location on the front corner of that machine gun. Now he just waits a second or 2, and here we go, coming back across to the middle. That is critical. That way you don't have to shock any of the machine guns. And then he's going to have 2 shocks to take this down. Typically there'd be 2 more with the rockets in the middle here, but a nice layout. I was going to say an easy layout, but just a simpler layout. You still have to get in position. You still have to have your flares in the right spot. And down goes Titan. They definitely, and see, oops, I cut it off. Now I can't show the end of that. As you can see here, they only got 543 points for that op. I think we had 6 or 7 perfect operations. But the quality of the hits does not speak to the points they ended up getting. Maverick got a little bit unlucky finishing. Torrent, Rach got a little bit unlucky trying for the disassembler all bombardier. Looks like she ran out of time there. I will jump to the next hit though. Stick around. There's a lot of good stuff to come. Speaking of 298s, you'll see right in here, they managed to roll Rogue for the 298, which that's kind of a good thing because many task forces can do Rogue in 2. So Keone comes in with the open. We've got 1, 2, 3 rocket launchers. No rocket launcher in that back corner is kind of a blessing. But as you can see there, lots and lots of health on the core. Unfortunately, I can't show you how much health is on the shield because replays don't support that. I'm not sure if that's a bug or a feature. Keone now dropping all of the damage. You'll notice he damaged that rocket launcher on purpose. That tells me there is a Houdini hack coming. Then just bombing all of his GBE on that front rocket. Grenadiers. Now you might be thinking to yourself, wouldn't Bombardiers be better? No, Grenadiers picking up a little bit extra gunboat energy just because they tend to miss. So also, Bombardiers tend to cost a bit of GBE to drop, so definitely some strategy there. And he's coming in right here using Sparky. He's going to flare right there. Now, I see this flare done wrong all of the time. See that second point on the crown? You can't see the first point. That is where the flare needs to go. Coming right along, trying to get in here. Watch this. Boom. Nice little Houdini hack, and then he parks all of his troops in that back corner, coming in hot right here. Now there are two absolutely perfect shocks required, one there, one there. He didn't actually use perfect shocks. I'm kind of surprised there, but still clearly did not need them, because look at this, getting rid of all of the defenses, also doing some damage on the core. 40 seconds of the rest of his zookas just pounding away at the core. That is a complete and utter beast hit, setting it up for Rogue in 2. Now, I tried my darndest to get a Rogue solo in this, and I ended up costing my task force a bunch of points. We got it in 2, but it should have been 1. Not going to show that hit. I will, actually, maybe I will. I'll see. That task force is currently full. If you're wondering why I'm not showing you which task forces these are, it's because they're just generic task forces that we dump spare intel into. So I'm going to jump along to our next hit back in just a second. And their video review would not be complete without a video from the winning team. Now, this was a clutch way to finish the competition. 11:31, 2 operations in a row. Gonna quickly show you Mr. Perrin's attack right in here on Titanic. Now, Titanic is a base that I absolutely dread. I think I've attacked Titanic like 3 times in my life. Not sure why. Again, that comes back to having people who can do Titanic in your task force. Now, Microwaver in an awkward spot here. That is gonna suck, but on the plus side, there are no rockets out here. Going to be a bit of a different shock pattern than normal. Also, there's typically a shock launcher somewhere in here, so Perrin's getting a little bit of an easier drop for his troops, but weird pathing. So going to come in here using the no flare drop. I love seeing no flare drops on Titanic because he just saved himself at least 2 or 3 GBE by not using a flare, and then I don't even know if there's room there. This is going to be absolutely crazy. He is somehow going to try to thread the needle between these microwavers, and he's already hit a mine. So getting just absolutely skinny. I wish I could show you exactly how tight they are to that right-hand side microwaver. That is insane. That takes some big cojones, as they say. Fantastic walk by Perrin's. By the way, I was told about these attacks by a bunch of different people outside, so I haven't actually watched these. Just seeing Perrin's walk past both those microwavers right in the middle of all of these machine guns is fantastic. Getting the beast hit out a little bit late on that bottom shock on the shock launcher and the rocket, but down goes Titanic. Beast hit by Perrin's. I still can't believe that he managed to walk between those microwavers. A little bit late on the shock there, almost cost him, but managed to salvage it. We apparently had the resurrect thing from the temporary gunboat abilities there, so beast hit to Perrin's. We're going to jump out of that attack and just give a big shout out to Perrin's, C2G, Callus, Sven, and Crusader for picking up the win. They were behind, and on the last day, absolutely clutched up and pulled out the win. So big shout out to those guys. All of them did a fantastic job hitting operations, and you'll see that Callus and Crusader and all of them were also dumping intel. So big shout out to those guys there. We're going to keep moving along. I don't even know how many attacks. I'm going to show you more. But you know what? I'll show you one more. Then we'll do that prize draw to get all of the goodness. I hope that you guys out there see this. Everyone from the task force, big shout out to you. I hope my excitement of how much fun I had when this comes through. Back in a sec. Okay, the stream video would not be complete without an attack from me on our 11:31. I think we got one of these, maybe 2. I think only one in this competition, though. We drew Orbitfold in a 298. Now, by the way, if you took part in this competition and you do not see your attack, please yell at me next time we do this. Scream from the top, say, I just had a fantastic hit, you should include it, and you know what? I will. I hate going through 400 hits, but if you give me a starting point, I would love to include it. And again, that 298 base just makes all the difference. Getting 298 Cooker or Maze or Redline compared to Orbitfold. Not to say that Orbitfold is a piece of cake, but you get the idea. We've got a bunch of shocks here. Nice, easy walk on the beach. Don't have to worry about anything down there. Don't have to worry about anything up there. All the zookas will walk below the water. As long as you know that, you should be safe on this attack. Now, towards the core, I was going for about where that mine is, which means we've got rockets here, rockets here, rockets. shock launchers, mortars, mortars. So in the neighborhood of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shocks. Now, let's have a look. I can't remember how I did on this, to be completely honest. And obviously, we saw that I took it down. A little bit unlucky there. Did not get that mine right there. Thankfully, it's a level 20 mine. One quick thing to note, there are level 25 mines mixed throughout. I think they're level 25 to be with HQ 25. Little bit overcautious there, getting a couple cells, moving our troops in, and then trying to get nice fat smokes because I wasn't sure exactly where my troops were going to walk. I almost never ever attack Orbitfold, but I was one of the few people who had enough GBE for 7 shocks, so I figured, you know what, let's get in and amongst the stuff. Now, my heart was, this makes operation attacks so much more fun. My heart was thumping in my chest, which I can honestly say I have not had for a long, long time in Boom Beach. Now, watch this right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, all of a sudden, I went to shock and my screen moved. And so it was an absolute panic to get my shocks out. Did not quite get the shock I wanted. I wanted to shock those rockets with that, but managed to take down in the neighborhood of, what does that mean? Building health, 800 times, we're looking at like a 1.8 million, 7 shock Orbitfold. Now my replay was not the best, but nonetheless, 7 shocks, 1.8 million, was pretty happy with that. I will skip myself. Gonna throw one more attack out there, and then we will call it a day, just because, actually, you know what? We're gonna do the prize box right here, right now. Okay, now one thing to note, this is ridiculously ugly, and this took way more time than I would have liked, but anytime you can get Ralph Wiggum saying pick a winner, you gotta get it done. So, every single person sent me a message. I think I got individual direct messages from every person. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do this spin right here, give away this box, and then I'll talk a little bit more. And the winner, drum roll please, is Mr. Yalek. Now you might notice that this looks a little bit like a rigged system. If we remove all of the blurs, you'll see that every single name on this box is Mr. Yalek. Now, huge shout out. I got so many direct messages from people that said, I don't want my name involved. Give the prize to Yalek. That's because Yalek dumped most, if not all, of the intel for this competition. So, Mr. Yalek, I tip my cap to you. I bow deeply to you, however you want to put it. Big shout out to Mr. Yalek. You, my friend, are the winner of the Boom Beach prize box. That is what this right here. Send me a direct message. Everyone in the comments, please throw some form of emoji at Mr. Yalek. I don't care if it's the middle finger emoji, the hands up emoji, whatever the heck it is. I'm going to show one more attack now, and then we will call it a day. Again, thank you to everyone who took part, whether you were trash talking on Discord, you were hitting operations, planning operations. I had a ton of fun. I think we're going to do a 10-member task force next, which will smooth out some of the bumps that you get from drawing a 298 cooker, but I'll be back in just a sec with one more operation attack. Okay, the last replay of the day. Now, quickly wanted to show you that you can still get 5 blue lines and not get max points, and that's where that 298, 226, all of those higher point bases, if you have to skip one of them, you're going to be falling behind. So lots of stress, lots of emphasis on those first 2 bases. Moving right along, I wanted to show you this last one hit. And that hit is going to be by Mr. Payday. As you can see, I failed right here on that rogue solo. If I show Mr. Mackett's hit, I managed to get the core about that much, but that close is not going to cut it. That sniper tower down below, if you wanted to go look at that, screwed me over. I used a battle orders instead of a flare. So Payday on assembly. I have never seen this attack before. It is very rare that I see an attack that I have never seen before, and so Payday gets to be included in this because he blew my mind a little bit, and all of us that were watching live, that's one of the cool things about these, is that I know that there's a whole sorts of series on YouTube that have shown live hits. the thing about these hits is that you have 24 hours to plan, you have 24 hours to figure out, to delegate, and I really enjoy that format because you can double dip, you can save some powder, and then depending on how things go, you can make changes here, there, and everywhere. So hopefully the task force that comes to Boom Beach, if it ever comes to Boom Beach, I doubt that it will, brings that feature to it, but I would not hold your breath. Now, this flare spot is standard. Many of you who have soloed assembly have done exactly this. I have not seen this bit yet. Now, he's coming right past this microwaver, just like Perrin's, using that time oh so perfectly. But he's flared the building back here, and this is intentional. Those two smokes coming out in synchronicity, or some word that I don't actually know what I'm trying to say there. You see that microwaver just burnt his backside, flaring the building afterwards. And now watch this. Shocks coming out like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Bullet doing all the taunting. His zookas just standing in that flamethrower, shooting right past them, blowing up assembly. So anytime you get assembly, it takes a bunch of strategy, especially with a microwaver right on the walking path. So kudos to Payday. And if you had a beast hit, please let me know next time. I would love to include it, but I can't go watch 5 times 5 days times 30 people. So anyways, that is all for me. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think about these operation attacks. If you think Task Force versus Task Force should come to Boom Beach, and if it will come to Boom Beach. Those are two very, very different questions. Anyways, that is all for me. Apologies for the lack of background audio. I had some local issues. I shall talk to you soon. Thanks for coming in. I'm Zedmont. Peace.